Hey everyone, and welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at something pretty cool in the world of AI.
Okay.
It's about how those large language models, the ones writing poems and making music,
Right.
how do they actually learn?
Yeah,
And more specifically, can smaller AI models learn the same complex reasoning as their larger counterparts?
that's a great question. And it turns out it's not as straightforward as you might think.
Really?
We've got some research here that dives into this.
Okay.
And it really highlights this thing that the researchers are calling the small model learnability gap.
Okay, the learnability gap. I
Yeah.
like that. What's that all about?
Well, the idea is that smaller language models,
Mm-hmm.
even when they're given really detailed explanations
Yeah,
from these larger, more powerful models,
right.
they struggle to learn complex reasoning effectively.
Oh.
It's like expecting someone who's just learning algebra to understand advanced calculus, even with a step-by-step explanation.
Oh, so it's not just about feeding the smaller model tons of data, it needs to be presented in a way that it can actually process.
Exactly.
Okay, so does this research look at any specific ways to improve that learning process?
Absolutely. The researchers tested a couple of different approaches.
Okay.
One was to provide these extremely detailed explanations,
Mm-hmm.
which they called long chain of thought reasoning.
Okay.
Imagine giving the AI a whole textbook chapter
Right.
to explain one math problem.
Wow, that seems like overkill. Did that work?
Not quite as well as they hoped. They
Oh.
also tried something called large teacher distillation,
Okay.
where the small model is trained on data created by a much larger model.
Okay, so it's like having a world-renowned expert as your tutor.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing there were some limitations there too.
Yeah, it seems like both of these approaches have their downsides, especially when working with smaller models.
Okay.
They often did better when the explanations were shorter and more concise,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they even learned better from slightly smaller teacher models.
Interesting. So it's like finding a study buddy who's just a step ahead of you, not miles ahead.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Did the researchers find any solutions to bridge this learnability gap?
They did. They had some success with a technique that they're calling mixed distillation,
Okay,
where they combined both complex and simple data.
gotcha.
So, for example, they had mix long,
Okay,
which involved giving the model a mix of those long, detailed explanations and shorter, more direct ones.
so striking a balance between the big picture and the nitty-gritty details.
Exactly.
Okay, kind of like a well-written textbook that starts with the basics and then builds up to the more complex concepts.
Exactly. And then they had mix large,
Okay,
where they used data from both the larger and smaller teacher models.
uh-huh.
So giving the learner a range of perspectives to learn from.
That's fascinating. It really highlights how teaching AI isn't a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
Did anything else stand out to you from this research?
Yeah, one intriguing finding
Okay.
was that domain-specific knowledge played a role.
Okay.
So, for example, a smaller AI model that was specifically trained on math
Mm-hmm.
learned from the large model much better than a more general-purpose one.
Interesting.
It seems like having that foundational knowledge base really helped.
That makes sense. It's like saying someone with a background in biology might pick up new medical concepts faster
Exactly.
than someone with no science background.
Yeah,
Okay, so this research suggests that tailoring the learning process, both in terms of content and how it's presented,
right.
is crucial for those smaller models to grasp complex reasoning.
That's a great summary.
Okay.
And this has some really significant implications for the future of AI development.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah,
Let's dive into those implications in part two. But first, I want to hear what stood out to you from this first part of our deep dive.
okay.
I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing to think about how AI learns, isn't it?
It really is. And the fact that these smaller models sometimes learn better from slightly smaller teachers is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like they need someone who speaks their language.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who can break down those complex concepts
Right.
into more manageable chunks.
That's a great point. And this mixed distillation technique
Yeah,
seems like a really promising way to create that ideal learning environment.
Yeah.
It's about providing that balance
right.
of complexity and teaching styles,
Exactly.
just like a good teacher would in a classroom.
Yeah, it's not just about dumbing things down
Right.
for the smaller model.
Right.
It's about presenting that information
Yeah.
in a way that lets it grasp the underlying logic and build a solid foundation.
It reminds me of how sometimes I need to see all the steps in a math problem
Uh-huh.
to really understand it. But other times, just knowing the general concept is enough.
Right.
Maybe these AI models need that same flexibility in their learning process.
It's a great analogy. It suggests that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to
Right.
teaching AI.
Right.
Just like with humans, different models might have different learning styles and preferences.
And this research could have some really exciting implications for the future of AI, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if we can make smaller models more efficient at complex reasoning,
Yeah,
it could open up so many possibilities.
Think about it. If we can get these smaller models performing at a level
Mm-hmm.
comparable to those larger ones,
Right.
we could deploy AI on a much wider range of devices.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We could have AI assistants on our phones and our cars,
Mm-hmm.
even integrated into everyday objects.
It would make AI so much more accessible
Yeah.
and affordable for everyone.
Right.
Not just those with access to massive computing power.
Exactly.
That's a game changer.
And consider the environmental impact as well.
Oh, right.
Running those huge AI models takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
If we could achieve similar results with smaller, more efficient models,
Uh-huh.
we could significantly reduce the carbon footprint of AI.
That's a huge win for sustainability.
Absolutely.
But beyond just those practical implications,
Yeah.
I think this research also gives us a deeper understanding of how AI learns in general.
It does. It challenges our assumptions
Mm-hmm.
about the relationship between size and intelligence in AI.
Okay.
Bigger isn't always better
Right.
when it comes to teaching and learning.
It's like we're starting to uncover the secrets of the AI brain, understanding how these different size models process information
Right.
and develop their reasoning abilities.
And who knows, maybe these insights into AI learning
Yeah.
could even teach us something about our own learning processes.
Ooh, now that's a thought-provoking idea.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that by studying how AI learns, we might gain new insights into how humans learn best?
Exactly. We've seen that this mixed distillation technique,
Right.
with its balanced approach to complexity and teaching styles,
Mhm.
seems to be really effective for AI models.
Yeah.
Could there be similar principles
Yeah.
that apply to human learning?
That's fascinating. It'd be amazing if we could take these insights from AI research
Yeah.
and apply them to improve our education systems,
Uh-huh.
create more personalized learning experiences,
Right.
help people learn more effectively.
It's a possibility worth exploring.
Right.
Imagine a future where AI tutors can adapt their teaching methods to each student's individual needs,
Uh-huh.
providing the right level of challenge and support based on their learning style.
That would be incredible. It could revolutionize education as we know it.
Right.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This research is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There's still so much more to learn about this learnability gap
Yeah.
and how to bridge it effectively.
You're right. It's important to remember that this study focused primarily on math reasoning.
Okay.
We can't assume that the same principles would apply to other AI tasks,
Right.
like language translation or creative writing.
So while we celebrate these exciting breakthroughs, we also need to acknowledge the limitations of this research
Oh.
and the need for further exploration.
Absolutely. We need to investigate whether similar learning gaps exist in other domains
Okay.
and explore how different pre-training data might affect a model's ability to learn from larger models,
It's a reminder that AI is still a relatively young field,
right?
and there's so much we don't know yet.
But that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
There's always something new to discover,
Mm-hmm.
always a new puzzle to solve.
Speaking of puzzles, something just clicked for me
Oh, yeah.
about this whole mixed distillation technique.
Okay.
It's not about finding some incredibly complex algorithm.
Right.
It's actually a really simple concept,
Uh-huh.
just like the best solution often are.
That's a great observation.
Thanks.
It's about finding that right balance,
Mm-hmm.
that sweet spot where complexity and simplicity meet
Right.
to create that optimal learning environment.
Right. And the fact that it seems to work across different model sizes and architectures is pretty remarkable.
It
It
is.
suggests that there are some really fundamental principles of learning at play here.
Yeah.
Principles that might even transcend the specifics of AI
Mhm.
and apply to other forms of intelligence,
Mhm.
maybe even our own?
That's a profound thought.
Thanks.
We often look at AI to solve complex problems and make our lives easier.
Right.
But maybe AI can also teach us something fundamental about ourselves,
Yeah.
about how we learn and grow.
Wow, that's quite a shift in perspective. Instead of just seeing AI as a tool,
Mm-hmm.
we're starting to see it as a mirror,
Right.
reflecting back at us these essential truths about learning and intelligence.
And perhaps by studying how AI learns,
Right.
we can gain a deeper understanding of our own cognitive processes
Mm-hmm.
and unlock new ways to enhance human learning and creativity.
This deep dive has been such a whirlwind of insights.
Yeah, it has.
We've gone from the technical details of how AI models learn
Uh,
to the broader societal and philosophical implications.
It's been a fascinating journey,
They really have.
and we're not done yet.
Okay.
But before we wrap up, I want to hear from you.
Okay.
What really stood out to you from this discussion?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the learnability gap and the potential of mixed distillation?
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
It's okay if you're still processing it all.
Take your time.
we're going to pause here for a moment.
Okay.
And in part 3, we'll delve into what all of this means for you, the listener.
All right.
We'll explore some of the potential applications of this research and how it might impact your life in the future. Welcome back to your deep dive. We've been talking about some fascinating research on how different sized AI models learn, especially the smaller models, trying to keep up with their larger, more complex counterparts.
Right. It's like watching a student trying to learn from a master, you know, but the master's explanations are so advanced that the student just gets lost.
Yeah, and that's where this mixed distillation comes in.
Right.
Finding that sweet spot between like overwhelming complexity and oversimplification.
Exactly.
And we've been thinking about the implications of all of this, not just for the future of AI, but for our own human learning processes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing to think that by studying how AI learns, we might actually uncover new insights into how we learn best as humans.
It really challenges us to think differently about education. To move away from that one-size-fits-all model and towards more personalized approaches.
Right.
Imagine a world where AI tutors can actually adapt to your individual learning style, providing the right level of challenge and support to help you reach your full potential.
It's like having a personal coach for your brain.
Exactly.
And this isn't just some far-off futuristic fantasy.
Right.
We're already seeing the emergence of AI-powered learning platforms that offer personalized recommendations and adaptive learning paths.
That's right. And as this research on mixed distillation progresses, we can expect to see even more sophisticated AI tools that can analyze your learning patterns, identify your strengths and weaknesses,
Right.
and tailor the educational content to your specific needs.
It's about empowering learners to take control of their own educational journey.
Exactly.
So instead of feeling lost in a sea of information, you'd have this AI guide to help you navigate, highlight the most relevant concepts,
Right.
and present them in a way that makes sense to you.
It could be particularly transformative for those who struggle with traditional learning environments.
Right.
Imagine students with learning disabilities having access to AI tutors that can adjust the pace, the language, the presentation of the material to make it more accessible and engaging.
That's a really powerful application. It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable education system.
Right.
Where everyone has the opportunity to thrive regardless of their learning style or background.
And it's not just about formal education.
Right.
Think about all the other areas where personalized learning could make a difference.
Okay.
AI-powered tools that can help you learn a new language, master a musical instrument,
Right.
or develop a new skill for your career.
It's about lifelong learning, about having that ability to constantly adapt and grow in this rapidly changing world.
Exactly.
And AI could really be the key to unlocking that potential for everyone.
It's an exciting prospect,
Yeah.
but it also raises some important questions.
Like what?
How do we ensure that these AI learning tools are accessible to everyone?
Right.
How do we address potential biases in the algorithms?
These are challenges that we need to consider carefully.
Absolutely.
As we move forward.
It's crucial that we develop these technologies responsibly and ethically, ensuring that they benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
But even with those challenges in mind, it's hard not to feel optimistic about the potential of AI to transform education and empower learners of all ages and backgrounds.
It's about creating a future where learning is not just a chore, but a journey of discovery, a process of continuous growth and self-improvement. And that, I believe, is something worth striving for.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from those really technical details of AI research to the broader societal and philosophical implications.
We've explored how those smaller AI models learn, how mixed distillation can help to bridge that learnability gap, and how all of these insights might actually revolutionize the way we learn as humans.
It's been a really thought-provoking journey, and I hope you've come away with a new appreciation for the complexities of AI learning and its potential to really shape the future of education and beyond.
So keep those minds curious, keep exploring, and keep learning.
Until next time, happy learning.